people think you stay married for love. I used to believe that too. But if love alone kept a marriage alive, mine would have ended in 1978. Love fades, it softens, it changes shape. What kept us together for 56 years was something nobody talks about. I was 21 when I met Robert, 21 and completely certain I knew everything there was to know about the world, about men, about myself. He had this way of looking at me, not at my dress or my hair, but at me, like he was reading something written just for him. I felt it in my chest before I even knew his last name. We married quickly. My mother said we were rushing. I told her when you know, you know. And I did know. I was absolutely sure. We moved into a small apartment on Clement Street, 2 rooms and a kitchen with a window that didn't close properly. In winter, we could feel the draft through the walls. I didn't mind. I thought love made everything warm. By the end of our first year, we had argued about money 4 times. Not small disagreements, real arguments. The kind where your voice shakes and you say things you have to apologize for later. He was working long hours at the firm. He came home tired and distant, and I would sit at that kitchen table waiting for him. And when he finally walked through the door, there was nothing left in him for me. I felt lonely. I never told him. I thought admitting it meant I had been wrong about us, and I wasn't ready to be wrong. Around our 8th year, something changed. Not suddenly. It was the way a season changes. You don't notice it until the air is already different. He stopped telling me I was beautiful. I stopped putting on lipstick before he came home. Our arguments weren't passionate anymore. They were repetitive. The same words, the same silences, the same ending where we both went to bed without resolving anything. We knew each other's lines by heart, and still we said them. Nobody warns you about the quiet seasons. Not betrayal, not drama, just quiet distance. 2 people in the same house, sleeping in the same bed, passing each other in the hallway like polite strangers. I remember one Tuesday night. He had gone to bed early. I sat in the kitchen for a long time, and then I went to the bedroom closet and I pulled out a small suitcase, just held it. I stood there in the dark holding that suitcase for probably 10 minutes. I didn't put a single thing inside it, but I held it. I didn't leave. Not because I was overflowing with love in that moment. I wasn't. I stayed because something in me, quieter than feeling, deeper than emotion, said, "This is not the moment to abandon what you're building." I didn't have a word for it then. I do now. The middle years were hard in ways I didn't expect. Children came, and with them came joy, real, extraordinary joy, but also exhaustion we had no language for. Sleepless nights bled into sleepless weeks. Money was tight in ways that made him carry a tightness in his jaw I couldn't reach. He forgot our anniversary 1 year. Not a milestone, just a regular anniversary, but I cried about it in the bathroom with the faucet running so he wouldn't hear. There were long stretches where we felt like roommates, functional, polite, coordinated. We managed the household together like a small business. He carried his stress silently, I carried mine the same way. We failed each other more times than I care to count. I said things in anger I can still hear myself saying. He shut down in ways that made me feel invisible. Love is a feeling, and feelings come and go. I think people mistake that for a tragedy. It isn't. It's just the truth. There was a moment. I've thought about it many times since. We had argued. I don't even remember about what. Some household thing, something small and stupid. And I had gone to sit in the living room, and he had gone to the kitchen. I was sitting there feeling the full weight of all those years, wondering if we had simply run out of road. And then he came and sat beside me. He didn't say anything. He didn't apologize, didn't explain himself. He just sat down next to me and reached over and held my hand. That was all. I looked at his hand holding mine, those familiar hands, older now, the same ones I had watched hold our children, and I understood something I hadn't understood before. It wasn't romance. It was commitment. It was the choice, made quietly, to reach across the space between us rather than let it widen. That choice, that small, unremarkable everything choice. Real marriage is not what they show you. It is not grand gestures. It is not the feeling of a wedding day stretched across decades. It is patience given on days when patience feels impossible. It is forgiveness, not once, not twice, but more times than you think you're capable of. It is choosing kindness when your pride wants to win. It is staying through the boring seasons, the gray seasons, the seasons where you look at each other and feel nothing spectacular and stay anyway. It is protecting each other's dignity even in anger. It is daily choice, not a promise made once, a decision made again and again and again in ordinary Tuesdays, in ordinary kitchens, for an ordinary life that turns out to be extraordinary simply because you stayed for all of it. Now I watch him from across the room. He's sleeping in his chair again. He does that more these days. His health is fragile in ways that frighten me more than I let on. I know the sound of his breathing when he's truly resting versus when something is wrong. I know when his knees are aching before he says a word. He knows how I take my tea, a little strong, no sugar, without ever being asked anymore. We don't need to talk the way we used to. We understand each other in the silences now. The man I married at 22 is not the man sleeping in that chair. He's changed. I've changed. We changed together and separately and against each other and alongside each other. There were versions of him I struggled to love. There were versions of me I imagine were difficult to stay with. But we kept learning each other. We kept falling in love with whoever the other had become. I won't pretend it was perfect. There were lonely seasons I don't talk about. There were tears cried in private that no one witnessed. There were moments of genuine regret, genuine doubt, genuine wondering what a different life might have looked like. I am old enough to be honest about that now. I owe you that honesty. But leaving is easy in a moment of pain. Anyone can leave. Staying, choosing to stay when you are tired and unseen and uncertain, that requires a kind of strength nobody applauds. Nobody throws you a party for it. Nobody writes a song about it. You just do it, quietly, and years later you look up and realize what you've built. I look at him sleeping and I feel something I don't have a clean word for. It isn't the butterflies of 50-some years ago. It is heavier and steadier and more frightening than butterflies ever were, because now I know what I would lose. Now I understand fully the weight of this one specific life, this one difficult, beautiful, imperfect life we built together. I would choose him again, not because it was easy, not because it was always good, but because it was ours, and we stayed, and staying made it matter. If you're waiting for love to feel the same forever, you'll be disappointed. Love fades, but loyalty doesn't have to. Forgiveness doesn't have to. Respect doesn't have to. The decision to stay when it's hard, when it's inconvenient, when no one would blame you for leaving, that is what makes a marriage last. Butterflies don't live 50 years, but devotion can.